this is something that I've talked about we're going to be doing all year long. I have a referral-based business only. So I've been in the mortgage industry for 25 years. The first 15 years of my career was buying internet leads. So I was one of the first loan officers to actually get internet leads because they weren't invented yet, from a guy named Doug Lebda. And Doug Lebda is the CEO and founder of LendingTree.com. When Doug started his company, he had a fax machine in his garage, and he would send them over to us, and he'd give one to us and then one to another mortgage company. So you can imagine you just had to beat one of the other people. They converted at roughly 26%. So when you think about it, though, as his business grew, a lead company's job is not to convert high. That's our job. We want to convert high. A lead company wants to sell a lead to as many people for as much as they possibly can. That is a lead company's business model. So think, if you were a lead, if I could sell it to you all for $1,000 and you're all willing to buy one lead, one person for $1,000, I'm going to do that before I'm going to sell it to one person for $1,000. So once all these lead companies, which Zillow is now a lead company, it is one of the most successful type of companies because those who control the leads control everything. True? Those who control inventory kind of control everything. When I realized that after the Great Recession, I changed my business model. I got into a coaching program that was with Rick Ruby and Brian Buffini. They were the head speakers for a company called Buy Referral Only. Brian went and started the real estate side. Rick went and started the mortgage side. But all of the tactics that they use are for both cross industries. So we have and do coach a lot of successful realtors across the nation. Our average coach closes, even in this market, low inventory, even smaller markets than ours, roughly 10 to 30 transactions per month. And they are 100% buy referral only. So these tactics aren't just stuff that I use, but they're tactics that other realtors across the country use at a really, really high level. So I will tell you that if you walk away with just one or two things, that's good, because it'll seem like a fire hose. Some of the stuff you're going to be like, oh, I already knew that. Oh, I used to do that. There are lots of things that I realized like I used to do that I stopped doing. Like I used to do that to be successful in my industry, and then I stopped. And you're like, well, that's kind of silly. So some of this will spark that over again. But I promise you that if you utilize these tactics, that you guys are going to find that it's going to be a game changer for your business. So I think we've got a little bit complacent in our industry. And I think we've been waiting, and especially for the past 2 years, we wait for the next client to come. I will tell you, for the past 10 years, that hasn't been the case for me. Regardless of what the market does, it'll dial up how aggressive I need to be in my activities to get more leads. More phone calls equals more leads equals more closed transactions. And it's not any different for you guys. We do have an inventory issue, but it really isn't an inventory issue. So I always want to put this in perspective, and I'm going to keep doing it every single month. You have a market share issue. There's 500 to 1,000 homes in this market selling every single month in Orange County. So unless you're selling 500 to 1,000 homes every single month, it is not an inventory issue. It is a market share issue. That is how I look at it, because there's plenty of transactions happening. It's just, how is it that I get more of those transactions? How is it that I can spark more people to think about buying or selling real estate? Because if I can get them to spark about buying or selling real estate, then of course, you guys can get them and find them a house, and I can do the financing for it. So I really want to change that mindset of what that looks like. I feel more than anything that realtors are the solution to the inventory process. It really is the biggest thing that we're running into, because I have been doing conference call after conference call with clients and realtors as to why not wait, why buy now. It is the most, and then when we can talk to them and have that conversation, then they change their mind and they're willing to list. So we're going to talk about the different opportunities that are out there. So in the core, which is the coaching company that I'm a part of, we look at relationships to give us repeat referrals, repeat business, opportunities to meet, to gain business, people that know you, like you, and trust you. So I'm going to make this a whole lot simpler for you guys and girls. Everyone has one of these in their pocket, correct? If you go to your contacts, I'm going to challenge you, go to your contacts. If you have an iPhone, I know this is the case, and you scroll to the very, very, very bottom. So go in there and scroll to the very, very bottom. It will actually tell you how many contacts are in your phone. So on my phone, I have 3,322 contacts. Okay? So think about that. Now, in your phone, these are all people that know you. Maybe they like you. Maybe some of them trust you. So if you take 20% off the top, that removes any ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, as well as those people that don't know you, may not like you anymore. And some people, if they don't trust you, that's fine. But if they know you and like you and they don't trust you yet, they probably don't even know if you're a realtor, right? So take 20% off the top of that. Then if we narrow it down and we ask ourselves, how many of these people either are renting or own a home? What is that figure? 100%. So that means of the people in your phone, 100% of these people are either renting or own a home, and they know you and they like you. They don't necessarily, maybe some of them trust you, but the know and like is 2/3 of the part of a sale. But yet we're always looking elsewhere. Like, hey, let's go into this random neighborhood and knock on doors. And then think about what they do for business. You know, we were just talking about someone who runs a Fleming's and he has connections and he said, oh man, I can refer you. So let's talk about that experience. Let's talk about a restaurant experience. I was talking about an experience that I had last night for Valentine's at one of my favorite restaurants, Starfish. We went there. It was great service. The food was on point. And I came back and I just told all of you about it. This table specifically, they have a great happy hour, but full price. They're worth every bit of it. Did the bartender ask me to tell you guys that? Did the waiter ask me? Did the owner ask me? They just had an amazing experience so that I wanted to share the referral automatically to everybody else, which will automatically increase their business. When you start thinking about your own business that way, and every person or every contact is a potential person that needs to buy or list real estate, then it's going to change how it is you interact with everyone. First and foremost, it says real estate salesperson on your license. True statement, correct? It doesn't say real estate advisor. It doesn't say negotiator. It doesn't say professional drive around and look at cool housers, right? It says real estate salesperson. And the most successful people that I've met in real estate, I had plenty of time to hang out with the Altman brothers, super down to earth, not like they are on television, but they are salespeople. First, real estate experts. Second, because if you can generate referrals, you can figure out the rest. True story. If you generate enough referrals, you can figure out the real estate piece. Once I can, generate enough referrals, the mortgage stuff kind of fell into place. You do enough sit-ups, you get a six-pack. So I'm told. All right? Cool. So let's talk about Sphere. Who is in your phone contacts? Who is a friend on Facebook? Who are you connected to on LinkedIn? Whose office or place or work have you been to? Who has attended an event that you have hosted? The issue is you have all these interactions, but then we don't organize them. We don't put them in a bucket. We don't think about how we're going to interact with these folks. So first, I needed to change the mindset to tell you guys there's so much inventory out there. It's just lots of information that are holding people back. Now, we know as rates go up, prices go down, correct? So that means that's good for buyers, correct? But bad for sellers. But it isn't good for buyers because 80% of buyers have to finance. So that's only good for 20% of buyers that are paying cash, where that really is the only time it makes a difference. So that means for 80% of buyers, it's not good because as rates go up, they actually pay more for the house, even if it drops 10 to 20% as interest rates go up. And it's good for sellers. So is it a good time when rates are going up, like to hurry up for sellers and buyers right now? Now, as rates go to 6%, it's going to be a whole different story. 5.5%, 6%, which can happen because I've been there before in the past. And people are like, oh my gosh, rates are so high. No, they're not. They're not that high. They're high in comparison to what it is that you saw. That was a 100 once in a lifetime event of a pandemic. That's what caused that. And a collapse of the financial system for a short period of time. So anytime you see that, anytime rates are really, really low, it's because something bad happened in the economy. So although it's great for us to stimulate business, as we start normalizing and going in the other direction, real estate is a buy and hold investment. That's what people need to understand. That piece of real estate will be worth more, whether you like it or not, because the dollar devalues over periods of time. So you need more of them to buy houses. The difference is a house you can touch and feel. So it is also the number one way to offset inflation, which is why it is that you see a lot of people that are buying houses now. Triangle for trust. So when we're meeting people, you have the referral, the referring, and then there's the you. I have lost many transactions because Uncle Bob just got his loan officer license. Have you lost to Uncle Bob that just got his real estate license? That's called out-relationshiped. Those are the instances. There's not a whole lot you can do. There really isn't. But outside that, the deeper relationship you have, the less they're going to question how much commission you're getting, the less they're going to question about how much you know, the less they're going to go and Google and ask their friends because you're in relationship and they trust you. So when you're first starting with someone, you have to tether it together. If you don't close the triangle, then it leaves it open for them to get other advice from other people that have a higher relationship value than you do. So for instance, this would be, let's say I'm referring Chris. Chris is a client of mine. Hey, Chris, Joy had referred me to you. Joy and I have worked together a really, really long time. Joy trusts me to take really great care of you. You can trust me too, Chris. So it's closing the triangle in their mind, the subconscious. You have to remind them why it is they should trust you. And they do trust Joy. Or you can ask them, hey, Chris, do you trust Joy? Yep. Wow. That's awesome. I trust Joy too. And you know what? She trusts me also, so you can trust me too. Now, it sounds crazy when you skip that part, but I promise you, if you skip that part, then you're leaving the triangle open, and then that's when you can run into trouble. That's just where you can run into trouble because, well, I trust Joy, but I also trust, and then off they go and they ask. Fair enough? So this is an old school sales technique, but it's also when you are meeting a new referral, why it is that you need to be using it. The other thing is you're going back in your phones, and I'm going to actually create this for you. Just take a piece of paper. At the top, put rent on one side, put own on the other side, and you put a line right down the middle. Is it true that rents are always going to keep going up for the most part? On average, 8 to 10% per year, correct? And there's no sharing in the equity of the home, right? Like you don't get any upside. And there's no tax benefit whatsoever. And you could be kicked out at any period of time outside the agreement. But even if you're inside the agreement, if they have enough leverage, they could figure out a way to skivvy you out. In which case, good luck if you have to find the same neighborhood, stay in the same school district, and be able to afford to move on demand. Does that sound stable? Not so much, right? But yet people find stability in that. And you're like, that blows my mind. Does a 30-year fixed payment at whatever interest rate where you know what the payment is, being able to share in maybe the only tax benefit you have, as well as appreciation over time to build wealth in real estate, which is more than likely the only retirement that you will have when you're older because most people don't do a really great job saving their money. Does that sound more stable? But yet people still want to live in a world where they think renting is more stable than buying. But the rates are higher. Yes, they are. You get a bigger tax benefit. Congratulations. That's like going to a super wealthy person and be like, oh my gosh, you pay taxes. Or like, I get to pay a lot of taxes. It's a different mindset, but people are just very confused, and a lot of them are still tethered to the Great Recession. There's still a lot of hangover from that. My dad's 88. He grew up with the Great Depression as a kid. And I will tell you, like, there's still some hang up in that. And so it lasts a long time, but it takes real information, not misinformation. That takes lots of conversations and lots of easing. Like all of those people after 2009 that didn't want to buy real estate, they're like, oh man, there's no way I'm buying real estate. And then 2013 and 2014 and 16 and 19 and 20 could have doubled their net worth. Now, if you could have would anyone in this room have spent $500 per share to buy Amazon? Pretty much everybody, correct? But it's just the misinformation or not knowing or ignorance of the situation. This is why it's so important what you all do. This is why it needs to be proactive in having these conversations as much as possible. People change jobs. They have dreams. They move around. Kids leave the house. There are many reasons you got to stay in touch. We live in Orange County. Anyone know what the divorce rate is in Orange County? It's 70% roughly. So that means 70% of every single married couples that I do a loan for are going to need 2 more houses. Fact. And I hear those stories all the time because I keep in touch with a lot of, like, my database. I see my database. I talk to my database. It's constant. And that's crappy. Maybe it's 50% in the rest of the country. Now, a lot of people, they're going to pass away, unfortunately. They're going to get sick. They have kids. Like I'll tell you, my wife and I, we moved back. We bought a big, beautiful house. But in 5 years, my kids are gone. That thing's going to be gone with it. They're like, no, you're going to want them to come back. I'm like, it'll be one room with 2 bunk beds, just enough to come back, stay for a little bit, but never too long. But things change, right? Over time. But the difference is it going to be you because you've been in a relationship with them, or is it going to be the mailer and they're like, wow, this person seems to know the neighborhood really well because they mail something to me all the time. Perception is not necessarily reality of the situation. So making sure that when you're talking to these people, you got to update the information. The other thing I do is I track everything. I track everything. My conversions, my lead to application ratio, my lead to pre-approval ratio, my pre-approval to fund ratio, and my lead to close ratio. I track all of those things because then I know where it is we may have an issue. So for instance, I saw that my pre-approval to close ratio dropped 20% because of inventory, correct? Because there's less houses, right? I've got all these pre-approvals and less houses. But what I found was I needed increased touch on these clients. So we increased our touches by 30%, meaning we send them things, call them more often. I'd send more videos and more market updates, and it bumped that up 20%. So my pre-approval to closing ratio was going up and inventory was going down because I was not closing 500 to 1,000 transactions a month. So it proved to me to know. So tracking everything. So let's just start with making sure that you have your past clients, personal friends, phone number, email address, mailing address. If you don't have a system where to put it in, then you need to get a CRM. I lived off of Excel spreadsheets for 20 years. I still have one of them that I hold on to like a little blankie and suck my thumb with. I love that spreadsheet. But everything else is organized in a contact management system. A lot of this does a really great job on staying in front of your clients. Now, I don't use technology to replace a relationship. Otherwise, I'm a commodity. The technology is used in order to get on the phone so that I can get face-to-face. So email, text, get on the phone, schedule an appointment face-to-face. That is what it is for. People use it to replace it, then you're a commodity, and they can easily go online and replace you for less money. True? Always. So making sure that you get people put into it. I don't care, top producer, Salesforce. I use a Salesforce-based one. You don't need to get something complicated. Get something that you know you will use. And then over time, you can build on it. You can plug all kinds of stuff in it and get all kinds of fancy bells and whistles. But the most important thing is going just through your phone and apologizing really for not doing a great job. Because that's it. Hey, I apologize. I haven't done a really great job staying in touch with you. And my New Year's goal is to do a better job. You're super important to me. You're an amazing past client. You and I used to go to high school together. I am sorry, but let me update your information so I can keep you, apprised as what we're doing. And by the way, I'm a realtor. So as you know, this market's crazy. I just want to make sure, because we were friends and I consider us still friends, even though I'm not a really great friend, that I want to make sure that if you have questions about real estate, you call me first. Fair enough? Is that a pretty chill conversation to have over and over? Like 1,000 times over? And then they're like, oh, I'm an attorney. What are you doing these days? Oh, I'm an attorney. Oh, I'm a CPA. Oh, I'm a financial planner. That's the sound of cash. Because those people can refer you over and over again. CPAs, financial planners, divorce attorneys will close more average per transaction than any realtor that I deal with. Because why do we work with realtors as lenders? You guys work with buyers. So don't you want to get to where before the buyers are? And that is with financial planners and CPAs. Now, the misconception is a lot of times people think that they already have a realtor, and that's why no one goes after them. CPAs outside of tax season are some of the most fun people to hang out with. Because as soon as tax day is over, they are partying. Like they are on a plane. They like to drink. They like to have a good time. They are a crazy group of people. And then financial advisors, same thing. They're a lot of fun. Most of the time, as long as it's before or after the opening and closing bell. Divorce attorneys, not so much fun. They're a little more harder to have fun with. Attorneys just aren't fun. But they're also very much referral-based businesses. All of them understand how it goes. So we're going to be talking about how to get some of those channel accounts for you. So think about the one person, but then you have to think about the people that they can refer you to on a consistent basis. On average, if you can get one closed client per month out of a CPA, that's 12 per year. You could just get 5 to 10 CPAs. It's a game changer in your business. 100%. And they have thousands and thousands of clients. Small ones will have hundreds of clients. Many of them are self-employed. I get it, but it doesn't mean you have to go through the mining of the gold. So there's two things that I want to make sure that you guys understand. How many of you track your leads at all? So half of you. So I need to remind you, before it was a closed deal, how many of you track your closed deals? Everybody. All of you raise your hands. So before it's a deal, it is a lead. If you don't understand the lead, then you're just guessing that it becomes a deal. Your leads are gold. And once you start tracking your leads, you can take your net earnings at the end of the year and divide it by the number of leads that you have. And if you start finding that, if I told you your leads were worth $2,500 a piece, every time you got one, it was worth $2,500 a piece. Would you want more of them and would you take better care of them? And I implore you to actually do that. Go back, try and find all the sticky notes and all the stuff that you had and see how many leads you got to get those closed deals and divide them by the end of the transaction, the amount of net earnings you have, not gross commissions, because you can't spend that at the grocery store. And that's going to tell you what they're worth. This is where we have to change your mindset on things. Everyone wants referrals, but not everyone wants to do what it takes to go get the referrals. Does that make sense? And I get that. I am like not Mr. Joe, let me go get referrals. So I have systems and processes to be able to do it. And this is where we're going to start this series, is starting with this. So pick up the phone and call through your database. It's simple as that. And we'll talk about, I gave some scripting. Hey, Sally, I haven't talked to you in a while. I haven't been a great realtor, but I want to catch up with you and make sure I have your current information. Easy enough, correct? We can all do that? Awesome. There is no fear in calling someone you already know. Like, I used to call at 19 years old out of a phone book, excuse me. They handed it to me and they're like, I'm like, what's this? They're like, those are your clients. I'm like, that's a phone book. They're like, exactly. Start calling. So imagine what that was like. So a little bit easier the older I get when I have someone give me a warm referral because they know, like, and trust me. The trust is built, right? You do a good job a couple times and people start trusting you. But most importantly, it's the know and like you part. Like, I know a lot of really crappy realtors and loan officers that get a boatload of referrals. That proves if they just know and like you, you can do business. True statement? So if you're really good too, then they'll keep sending them to you over and over again. Now, we're not all perfect. We will make mistakes. I make mistakes. You own up to it. You relate to it. You apologize. But if you're in relationship, is it easy to work through a mistake together? If you're just someone on the internet, like, not so much. Agreed? So the relationship part is super, super key. And that's why going to who you already know is going to make a difference. So we're not talking about cold calling. If we are, use this. Or if you aren't, use this. I'm not great at chit chat. My wife is amazing at chit chat. I am great if we have a topic. I can talk about the topic, no problem. Outside that, it's just I'm naturally a little bit of an introvert, socially awkward kind of person. Unless I really start getting into deep relationship. And that's just how I've always been when I was a kid. Years of bullying, therapy, all of that stuff. We're going in the right direction, okay? But till then, I used this. Ford. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Ask a question about, hey, how's the family doing? How are the kids? How's soccer? How's lacrosse? Occupation. So, you still at Boeing? Recreation. What are you doing for vacation? Did you plan your vacation this year? Are you still going back to Maui? I can't wait to go to Maui. I love it there. And dreams. Dreams are reserved for the people that you're in really good relationship with. Because if you start asking, well, so what dreams do you have for the future? It gets a little weird. Right? But the whole goal is that you can to get to the D when it's all done and start having those conversations. But understand the dream aspect of it is, when are you looking to retire? So think about that. When do you want to retire? Man, you've worked at Boeing for a long time. How long do you think you're going to want to do that for? These are all really good questions to ask because they're discovery questions. And you can keep asking discovery questions until you get a buying question. And a buying question is, so how is the market? Ding, ding, ding. Pay attention. Those are buying questions when they're asking. Because a lot of times, like if someone who doesn't plan on selling at all, like frankly, for me, if I wasn't in the industry, I could care less what the market's like. All I know is I don't want to move again, and I'm not even talking about it for 5 years. And maybe that's the transcontinental move because it sucks so bad, but I'm not going to think about it. But if I'm asking, then that means somewhere in my brain, I'm wondering what's going on and I'm thinking about buying. So here's what we want you to do to keep it simple. These are the systems and structures that I use overall. And we will dive deeper into this, but mail them. So we mail them, we call them, we see them face to face, we get them together, and we build a relationship on a constant basis. Some of the best relationships and friends I have in this room started with me just having a system to get in relationship. It was at first tactical, and then it turns into a natural relationship. Then you just want to work together all the time because working with people that you like is way better. Indeed. Working with people that suck, not so much fun, correct? Now I get to fire those people or not hire them in the first place. But isn't it nice to be able to be in a position like that versus in a position where you have to take every single deal no matter what? And it's only solved by getting more referral partners and getting more leads. And you can make those choices. You're like, man, this person's a jerk. They take me for granted. They've got me down to, 0 commissions, and I'm working super hard for them. And they didn't even understand I just negotiated the hardest deal for them in my life. That sucks to have to do that. And I've done that for a long, long time, but more leads solve all problems. Indeed. If you guys all had 100 to 150 referrals every single month and closed 25% of them, would that solve your problem? Yes. So all of these tactics, when I started the Mazzo Group 10 years ago, I had 0 referral partners, 0 leads. I'm tattooed from my neck to my toes and do not look like I'm the person that you want to work with. I had to literally start from scratch. I had to buy every lead that I did up until that point. So I bought leads and I was building a referral-based business, but I was working 85 hours a week and I was under pressure because I had to feed my family. We were broke. We were done. We had nothing to our name. So I worked well under pressure, so it moved quickly. But this is what keeps the world going. And now I get the pleasure to be able to teach it to others that work for me and you. But if you guys start just implementing some of these tactics, I promise it'll make a big difference. So let's talk about mailings. I do a letter of the heart at 1 month and then a evidence of success. So people work with you because they like you and they trust you. And they know you. So when they get this, they know who I am. They're in the database. The like me is the letter of the heart. I'll send something about my kids. So here's getting silly with my girls. I'll send something about my dad, dealing with someone with dementia. Move across the country. I talk from my heart. This is where you can be genuine and people can relate to you. That is really important in a relationship. You ever go on a date where they all only talk about themselves and they're not really genuine and you're like, this is the last date I'm ever going on, for sure with them. This is just be you. And it will, I get calls when I do stuff with my dad. I get calls from people that are my dad's age. I get calls from people that are taking care of their dads and in similar situations. Same thing with the kids. So letter of the heart, always, every other month. And then evidence of success. I'll take the best referral of the month or the best testimonial for the month, and I send them a card. All of them have a call to action. Hey, if you know someone that you really care that's either renting or owns a home, will you please send them my way? That's not hard because that's 100% of every single person in their phone. What we've been doing is we've been programming them saying, do you know anyone looking to buy or sell real estate? That's like me saying, do you know anyone that's hungry or thirsty right now? I'm sure I know someone who's hungry and thirsty right now, but that would take me to call and interview them all to see if they're hungry and thirsty. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that if they ask me someone who's buying and someone who's owning, that I'm able to get that. So just listed, just sold cards, market updates, but the letter of the heart, believe it or not, that is gold. I've really solidified a lot of relationships with that. Phone calls, power hour, we're going to call them. So my database, when we're talking about database, I call them twice a year. So every week I call a different letter of the week. So if anyone's like, how do I break down calling my database? If you got 400 or 500 people, starting January, I call my A's, the next week the B's, then the next week the C's, then the D's and the E's, and so on and so forth, so that I'm able to touch bases with them roughly twice per year. Having conversations with them. How are the kids? Using the Ford aspect of it. You have any questions about the market? And when you're asking them and using Ford, that's where the conversations are going to go up, where it's like, hey, how's family? Not so great. Caught my husband cheating on me. We're getting a divorce. True story. Had that conversation way more than I'm like, wow, this is a thing. So at that point, I'm like, I'm so sorry. That's okay. And then they start talking. Why? Because we're in a relationship. JJ, I don't know what I'm going to do. Can you think I can get pre-qualified for a condo or something, anything? I don't want to rent. So like, how important is that from a relationship standpoint? They're willing to have those conversations because they know I genuinely am there and can help them and that I truly care. Because I'm willing to go back here. I put my heart on my sleeve all the time. Like, I'm just a normal guy. I'm a normal human. All my imperfections and all my things I'm proud of, I always put in here because we're all the same. We're all the same at the end of the day. So this way you call the way through because you need referrals. So do not mistake, understand, you're part of doing it is staying in connection, being in a relationship, but it's also for referrals. When a plumber comes to your house to fix your plumbing problem, are you offended? No. Why not? He's doing his job. And why is he doing his job? It's the same answer for all of us. Right. Roof, shelter, and food. Understand. Like, I'm going to break this down so simple. Shelter and food. Every single one of us. Then you're like, shelter, food, Mercedes. Okay, well, then that's not all of us. But shelter and food is everybody. Fair enough? So as a salesperson, people understand who salespeople are, correct? They don't like pushy, annoying salespeople. But do we know there are salespeople out there? Are they important? Yes. The salespeople keep the entire economy going. All the products you see require someone to tell them that it's a good product. So if I go and I say, hey, do you know anyone that you really, really care about that's looking to buy a house, or someone that's renting right now, or someone that already owns a home? I'd really appreciate it. I'll take great care of them. It's how I feed my family. Is that harsh? Do they understand like what I do for a living? So they're not so frustrated. I think a lot of times we're so afraid to ask for that referral because we don't want to offend them. You know what's offensive? Homelessness and being hungry, which I very much remember, and I do not like it. So instead, I'm just going to ask for the referral so I have a roof and I got food. And then if you keep asking, then you get the Mercedes and you get a bigger roof and you get a lot more food and you got to go to Mastro's and all that good stuff. But that's up to you. But the simple relatability is, we're salespeople. It's how we feed our family. It's okay to ask if you genuinely care. Fair enough? And it's okay for them. That's why I always drop in there, someone that you care about. So if I asked you, like right now, top of mind, 2 people, one person that owns a home and one person that's renting, stuck in the renting cycle that you care about right now, could you write down their names? See how much easier that is than, do they want to buy or sell? Of course, every single person wants to buy a home, whether it's 6 months or 6 years, I don't know. If you sit down with me, I promise that I can get anyone in a house. It's just a matter of when, not if. And I'm proof of that. Like, no one in this room had a lower credit score than I did. That much I assure you. It just takes the want, the drive, and the will, and the understanding to do that as well. See them face to face. So, like I'm doing here. If you guys pick 15 business people that you know, and you offered every single month, let's say 15 business people and they had 10 to 20 employees, not a lot of employees, and you offered every quarter to go in their office, bring them lunch, and teach them about building wealth in real estate with a different topic. Do you think that those people would welcome you in? Pretty much. And would you be able to get referrals? Because 100% of them either own a home or are renting currently, or they know someone that owns a home and is renting currently. Do you see that? If there's 15 people in the room, I've got 15 leads. They each know 2 people. Now I've got another 30. Now I'm at 45 possible leads. So doing face-to-faces are going to be huge. So let's talk about the ones that we do. We do client appreciation parties. And my buddy Chris here had started doing the client appreciation parties at a real high level for past clients. Where we forget is it's already money spent. So let's say a client appreciation party costs me $2,000. I invite all of my clients there. We do this twice a year. So I usually do a movie thing in the summertime, and we rent a movie theater, and then I'll do a pumpkin patch or something like that in the fall time before the holidays, because people are busy during the holidays. It's my way of thanking them. Then what we do is we do a bunch of raffle prizes and baskets and things like that. And we tell them, hey, everyone gets a raffle ticket for all of these prizes, but every referral you give us, you get 10 raffle tickets. And I the name of someone who wants to rent or who doesn't want to rent anymore, or someone that already owns a home. And then when we're doing the follow-up, now how many leads do you think we get at an event like that? If I have 200 people, I'll walk away with 65 to 75 leads. And then the fortunes in the follow-up. Hey, thank you so much for referring us over to Bob and Cindy. It looks like they're stuck in that rent cycle. I'll help them, whether it's 6 months or 6 years. Will you just do me a favor? Can you do a quick email or text chain introducing me to them so they don't think I'm a vacuum salesman, and like let them know that I took good care of you? And I promise I'll treat them like family. And thank you so much, because referrals are how I feed my family. Mortgage is not how I feed my family. If they got rid of mortgages, could I not apply this to any other aspect in any other business? If they said no more mortgages, only real estate, don't you think I would just do this and become a realtor? Or if they said no more realtor, no more mortgage, just sell ice, I would be like, okay, ice it is. I'm just going to do this too. As long as it is something that someone needs. But making sure that you're in front of them, which is why I do these educational, so I can pay it forward. I know that if you take one or two of these things and put them in your business, that you guys will make more, and in turn, you guys will reciprocate. It's no different than anything else. So over the coming months, we're going to focus a lot on VIP programs. We're going to focus on how to get those business partners that I spoke about. We're going to speak, like, I'm going to teach you, and you just have to make sure that you apply one or two things. So if you don't remember anything from this, the most important thing that I want you to remember is to go through your phone and update your database. Just go through it and make that call. I don't care if it's on Excel spreadsheet, but you put them in one category: own a home or rent. That is it. If you just do that now, you'll have a foundation to be able to build upon. Fair enough? Cool. Was this helpful? Yeah. Everyone make a little bit of money, a little idea to make more money. Raise your hand. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. This is my favorite thing to do. So when I'm not doing the mortgage stuff, literally I'm doing this across the country, like for big crowds, and it scares the heck out of me, but you guys make me just as nervous too. I need your help. On the very back, there's a survey. This is how I get a little bit better. So don't be afraid to tell me that I suck because I spit at you in the front row. Tell me what I can improve upon, and then tell me a little bit about, maybe classes that you want to hear about in the future. But most importantly, I need your help to feed my family. At the bottom, I just need the name of 2 people that you know that are currently renting, or people that own a home, and 2 realtors that you know that could benefit from a class like this. You guys put their names down, do a little introduction. I promise, whether it's 6 months or 6 years, we will make sure that we guide them down the path. And if they're realtor partners, thank you. We just want to help them grow their business. And in turn, it helps grow our families. Fair enough? Awesome. Thank you, guys. So we'll see you next month. Yes. Cool. So next month, I'm still working on that topic. I'm probably going to do VIPs next month. This is for some of my friends. VIPs is all they do for their business next to this. So database number 1, VIPs are second. I won't ruin the surprise, but we'll talk about how to build a VIP database and call list next month. So same place, same bat time, all that fun stuff. Thank you, guys.